Peace, blessings, gratitude. What's going on? This is Controller Rise Live once again. We wanted to, in the lieu of current things that are happening in the news and just things that are happening on social media and just the general state of mind of pretty much everybody who's been tuned in to anything over the last week. I felt like it was important to take some time out and unpack and discuss and just really kind of dig into all of the things that we've been experiencing and seeing and witnessing. And I say that to say, like, we're not going to play a bunch of beat sets. We're not going to do a bunch of DJ sets. But we are going to talk. I set up a Zoom call. We've set up a Zoom call. And we got a good selection of the folks from Controller Rise. And, over the next hour or so, we'll just kind of dig in. And there's no real format or, real agenda to the discussion. It's just, I know folks need to get some shit off their chests. We want to just take some time to do that and, try and incorporate as much as we can the comments from you guys, as well as comments from the community. So that said, let's do it. I'm gonna pop over into the live stream with the crew and we can get started. Peace, y'all. Was good.
What up, though?
Peace.
Bro.
Yeah, what up?
What up?
What's going on?
What's going on?
Cooling. So, for those who haven't just seen what we've just seen on the news, the president had an announcement, and essentially, at least to me, I don't want to overstep and speak for anybody else, but at least to me, he just declared martial law. He just declared war on a chunk of the country, and that shit is crazy. It's unprecedented. It's never been done before. I've never seen anything like it in my life. And then, previous to that, we've obviously had protests for George Floyd and police brutality and just, being black in America for the entire time we've existed. A lot of folks just think it's that one isolated incident that's driving this thing, but it's not. It's all of the incidents. It's the entire experience that's driving this. And I know people can't understand that, and we've been seeing it kind of reveal itself in different ways via, certain people just reacting crazy or questioning us or whatever when we try and express like the grief and anger and just stuff we've been dealing with. I just wanted to jump in and talk. I got everybody in this room, so let's do that. If anybody wants to jump in first and just wants to air whatever you want to air out, this would be a good place to do that. Just mind you, the end game, I think, for this discussion, as much as there can be one, is to have in mind that we want to be progressive, and don't think that means you can't talk your shit, because I definitely want you to do that. But, at the end of it all, like we're trying to find a way to deal with this bullshit. You know what I mean? We don't want to, we don't want to cause more bullshit. We want to figure out how we're going to overcome what we got to deal with, if that makes any sense. So yeah, air grievances or just speak or whatever. Now's a good time.
If you wouldn't mind, I got some things to chime in.
Yeah, let's do it.
First.
Let's do it.
Okay. So for anybody listening right now, like, I know that this is crazy. This is all new. This is completely, like Chris said, like Drum said, unprecedented. But like, I want everybody to be encouraged, because at the end of the day, like, I think that the moves that are being made on the side that's not the whole way right, I think that those moves are going to come back and bite them in the ass, so to speak. So we've got this president basically, declaring war on people who are protesting in a roundabout way. He didn't declare war straight up, but like, he did declare war. At the end of the day, like, these are the same things that, like, you think about other places around the world and how they try to silence protests and how they try to silence uprisings and how they try to silence these things, it never goes well, right? So now what you have is you have kids being shot with rubber bullets and just falling over, and like people being pepper sprayed unjustly, car windows being broken, people being arrested when their hands are already up. So you got these things happening that's only going to incite more of an uprising, right?
For sure.
This ain't going nowhere no time soon. It's not going to be as easy as people might think. Like people, talking that law and order talk, as easy as they think this might be, like that's not going to make this go away quietly. And I think that's the beginning of a regime change. You start seeing things like that. You start seeing kids getting shot with rubber bullets. Now it's time to go vote. Now it's time to go fight. Now it's time to go do whatever we got to do. So like, as crazy as it might seem today, like please follow history and like keep in mind like that at the end of all of this, like there might be some positive that comes out of this. Not that any of this is positive. Do not get me wrong. I'm not saying nothing's positive right now. I'm just saying like please be encouraged by history, be encouraged by what's already happened before in other countries, be encouraged that like there's no way that this is going, like there's no way we're going backwards from here. We're not going backwards. And that's really all I had to say. I just want my people to be encouraged. So love to everybody, y'all. There's no way that this is
going. Love. That's good energy, bro. I appreciate you, taking the time to express that. And like, yeah, definitely, like you said, you see this in history with these big regimes and kind of like dictatorship, type of, how you say, well, for lack of a better term, dictatorship type of regimes, like this imperialist type of thing. You see it over and over again. I'm not gonna name names, get into all of that. I'm sure you can kind of figure out who I'm speaking about, but yeah, shit doesn't normally go well. Usually people recognize the injustice and they can't help but take action because it's human nature to fight against things that are inhuman. I think that's a given. That's a perfect opening to this conversation because, like, in doing that, like, we kind of have this little platform that we have, and I'm definitely interested in discussion on how, we can do that. So how do we move forward progressively? What steps can we take individually? What steps can we take as a community? What types of things should we be doing on a daily basis? What should we be looking out for? In your opinion, obviously everybody's individual and they have individual opinions. And I don't think anybody's wrong in this situation. Like I've seen folks tear shit up and go riot, and I can't say that they're wrong. I've seen folks go protest and be extremely peaceful, and I can't say that they're wrong. I think, you're expressing this stuff that we're dealing with. We're processing, like this traumatic ass shit. Like we're processing it, and then what you're seeing is how folks process it. Like we speak different languages, we walk different, we talk different, we got different fingerprints. So like we're gonna express that shit different, and that is what it is. Like, and for like the folks saying don't be out there doing this and don't be out there doing that, like how you think we got here? You know what I'm saying? Like how you think the country was built? Like you think people just came over and asked politely and held us some signs and shit, and then the country? No, they murdered and destroyed nations and nations and nations and nations of people, and they continue to do so. And then they enslaved people, a nation worth of people, So don't get it confused that this is like some kind of, don't make this something it's not. Like I'm definitely not trying to advocate doing one thing or another. But just like it's need for action, it's need for folks on the front line, it's need for soldiers. It's also need for folks that can think and discuss and look at the big picture. You need all of that energy.
Stolen Drums, I wanted to jump in really quick. We do have a lot of folks on the chat who are chiming in. Small Eyes, shout out to Small Eyes, I see you. He was saying, maybe starting a controllerized community outreach program as a way. Game Master Herb said Discord is a useful tool to organize folks and also to make a place people know they can go to talk and share, whether it's Monday or not. Small Eyes again said the older people have to pass on tools and resources to the youth. So Is there anybody, that agrees, disagrees on those ideas, or maybe another idea you may have?
I mean, like, so first of all, shouts out to President Obama for sure. Former President Obama. I think he shared some resources. I don't know if it was today or yesterday that I thought were really powerful. So if you can go to Twitter and check out his page, like he has some links. He has a link to a Medium to a post that he wrote, like an article he wrote, just kind of like highlighting some steps and like what to actually do. Because a lot of people don't really know what to do. We just out here marching, we angry, we turn, and ain't none of that wrong. I'm not saying any of that's wrong, but like there's some other actionable steps we could take too. Down to, and shouts out to Killer Mike, saying go beat him up at the polls. I like the way he worded that, and I think that that's a real actionable step.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think this is my 2 cents personally. As individuals, at least for me, like my family's from Detroit. My pops was in the military, so, and I'm not sure how everybody else is, but as far as my family's concerned, he was like, protect your own, take care of your folks. Things of that nature was always kind of reinforced. But there's always like this strange aversion to guns. Like everybody was like, yo, guns are bad, leave them alone. Kids not allowed to play with them, stay away from them, et cetera, et cetera. I enlisted in the military myself. First thing they did is train me on how to use a gun. Right? And then I noticed that a lot of my friends outside of my culture didn't have this aversion to weapons. They didn't have this, like, guns weren't taboo for them. They were something cool to have, like a car or cool shoes or whatever. Like, it was just some cool shit to have, for them. It had been normalized for their culture. So I think we need to get away from that, like, that taboo of weapons. I think we need to arm ourselves so we can protect ourselves. We need to put ourselves give ourselves a strong foundation. So that way, whatever does pop up, be it some kind of crazy Gestapo shit where they kicking in doors, like they can't just kick in your door. You know what I mean? Be it somebody breaking in your house or whatever the situation is, put yourself in a situation where you can protect yourself. Like, don't get caught out here without that, and just based on what I saw on the news today, like, who knows how long we'll be able to do that? Who knows how long we'll be able to protect ourselves like that? You know what I'm saying?
I wanted to go back to the voting thing. With the elections coming up in November, we don't really got much of a choice. And I see in the chat, a lot of people are talking, a negative against Joe Biden for however you feel about him. It's like, how as Black people, how do we don't have two great choices. It's very obvious. We know that, 45 ain't shit, but his opponent ain't shit either. Like, let's call a spade, so we're told, to use our voice by going to the polls, but for centuries, it really hasn't panned out. So what do you do in that situation?
Vote local.
Exactly. The vote starts way before this presidential shit. If you're gonna go down the vote hole, like if you're gonna try to put your faith in the American voting system and believe that you can vote for officials that represent you locally from your area, they have your ideals and your lives in mind, then you have to vote about your local politicians and your local seat members and shit in Congress.
Your DA, your prosecutor, all of that, man, for real,
that's a good stuff.
And you need to figure out what they're on. I just gotta, me and the wife are NCAAP members. She goes to city council meetings. I try and pop up at the town halls when I can, but it takes being involved in your local politics. So if whoever it is going to be super hard on X. So say in Gwinnett County, I stay in Gwinnett. So, we got problems that we got, but me and the wife was putting pressure on the local government. We were sending an email out to the city councilman hey bro, how come you guys haven't released a statement? How come you haven't said anything? The fact that you haven't said anything and we've been going at it to this point and it's motherfucking riot police outside, and people are marching in the city. It's real strange, bro. Like, it's real strange that you guys haven't said anything while all this is happening. You're telling me I can go downtown and eat because y'all got tents and shit, but you're not telling me how y'all feel about this craziness that's going on. And they took action. They made a statement. They said something about it, and that's tight. But at the same time, just having access to that information let us know what the DA was on. And then we got candidates for the local sheriff even, and it was like, I'm gonna be hard on this. I'm not gonna be hard on that. And there was a lot of questions, like 10 different questions. Like, do you believe in the death penalty? Do you believe in shackling pregnant women? Do you believe in marijuana charges? Like, should that even be a thing? And like, all these questions were asked, and they answered them all, and all that information was available for folks. But if you don't vote local and you don't fuck with your local politics, you would never know that. And then essentially, how you play the game if you don't know fucking, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you don't know the rules and you don't know the cards, like, you got to have an understanding of this shit. Even if you don't play it, even if you want to exist outside of it, you still should have an understanding of how it works. Because eventually you're going to have to maneuver inside the system that we got. So you got to get educated. And I think that's like the second bullet point. Arm yourself, get educated. And then you got to spread that education out to the folks around you. But I don't want to like overtalk. Like, definitely want to give other folks opportunity.
Even more than that, like, so one of the weirdest things that I'm seeing, you know, in politics today is like, you have these politicians who are like so beholden to Trump. They're worried about with the wrath of Trump. You shouldn't be worried about the wrath of Trump. You should be worried about the wrath of the people in your state. And like, that's because I'm not, obviously, like, I think as things happen, like, it reveals like the flaws of like the way that we think. Like, we obviously have to address the way that we think. Like, there's no way any politician should be more afraid of Trump than he is of me. Should be afraid of me. Like, I'm coming for you. Like, but it also has to be like a mentality because I know, you know, when I was 21, 22, we wasn't really checking for this. But I guess like now that we do have some type of like knowledge, like, it's our responsibility to kind of make that shape and to make it really accessible to people who maybe are not thinking about it. Because like, when it comes to these smaller elections, we all know about the big elections, but I think maybe it might take some sort of organization, like with younger folks, with folks, you know, in their 30s, maybe even younger, to get out and mobilize and be like, hey, you know that they voting for the DA on Wednesday, right? Like, I need you to go vote. You know that this dude racist and he grew up with this dude who's part of the coup, like, whatever it is, right? Like, that has to, like, that mobilization has to happen at some point. Yeah. It hasn't really happened, like, ever in my lifetime.
Yeah, and that's the energy that you can't, like, it's harder to cheat on that shit. Like, it's hard as fuck in my mind. And I could be wrong because I learn new shit every day. The older I get, the more I realize I don't know shit. But I think it's way harder to cheat on a local level in an election than it is for Trump to steal it with cross-check and all that other crazy shit. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, we can fucking mobilize and hire the right sheriff and the right DA and really be on the board when folks is trying to get new judges appointed and all of that stuff and really put pressure on folks to get our agenda across. You know what I'm saying?
So, question.
Yeah.
If you don't mind. Well, I just jumped in because I gotta. So like, even right now, this is just like a representation of what we're going through right now, man. I'm in another class, another Zoom call, and I gotta pay attention to that. My people are dying at the same time, man. Like, we shouldn't have to live like this. Or do I have to decide between my future and my future? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and then there's people like me who don't know what the fuck to do, because every wrong decision seems like it has a valid reason for me to say, fuck it, I'm doing that. You know, and every right decision has somebody saying, hey, this is why it shouldn't happen, or this is why you shouldn't do that. And then we're told we need to educate ourselves, but a lot of us don't even know how to read the legal language. So it seems like we're not even equipped to educate ourselves. You know, I have bullet points because I ramble when I get passionate, but like, we're not allowed to be wrong anymore. That's how I feel like that's what's paralyzing a lot of us, because we're so afraid that we've been right this whole time and still getting killed. So I can't afford to even have an opinion that's strong, because if I'm wrong, what am I going to do to my people? Am I sending them to the slaughter? Or am I sending us to future years of us going through the same shit that they went through in the 90s? And in the 90s, I literally listened to this speech by Tupac Shakur at some school. And at that speech in 1993, he's like, we are marching on anniversary of niggas who marched in the 60s. How long? And the reason I'm so affected is because I was so in a bubble and sheltered from this shit. And I feel like the rug's been pulled under my fucking feet. It's like it works so well. But just in terms of going in line with what we're saying, man, information is key. But information has to have sources, and the sources are where they're attacking us.
Yeah.
You know, we have to, what's happening is the people who are this is from my perspective, this is what I feel in my heart. The people who are protesting and the people who are not protesting, and those seem to be two factions of people who they're spinning against each other. We cannot organize if we don't trust ourselves to be capable of organization. We can't ask questions if we don't see that we're doing something wrong. We can't change our mentality about us if we don't know that our thoughts about us weren't ours originally, they were given to us. Like, it's still working. So I'm afraid, because this passion I feel, the only reason I'm not burning shit to the ground right now is because I also know there's an agenda. But for people who don't know there's an agenda, what?
I mean, that's what, like, so the fact that you even know that makes you valuable. And your emotions is so valid. Like, that shit you feeling is so valid. You really supposed to feel like that. That energy is the motivation folks need to go make change with. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, that energy right there that you got, that heat that you got in your chest right now, that's what you need. You need that. Don't ever forget that shit. Don't ever let that shit go. That's important. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, bro.
That's what it takes. And it's going to take folks that can read that legal shit to break it down to the people who can't. It's going to take folks that got access to that information to disseminate that shit to the people who don't. You feel me?
Yeah, bro.
That's the fact that you're in the position that you're in makes you powerful as shit. You just got to realize your role. And that's, you know, maybe that's not even your job. Maybe somebody else got to figure out what makes sense the most for you. But that's why this community shit is so important. That's why it's important for us all to be on here like this versus just like one person talking. You know what I'm saying? We 20 deep in here right now. 20 different voices, 20 different minds being used at the same time. So it's important for us to continue this community growth shit and go find more information and give it to the folks and then check it if we can check it, verify it, cross-check it against us. You know what I mean? Right, what makes sense, what don't? What communities is in the city moving? Are they cool? Who backs them? Who pays them? Like all the questions is like the ones we gotta ask. But it's on us, bro. Like at the end of the day, we it. You feel me? Like the folks that came before us. They did what they did. They did what they could. Now we here. It's on us.
Yo, let me tap in real quick too. Like just to piggyback off of what you were saying, Drums. Like I think so. Like, you know, once you realize that you like, yo, our culture powerful. We'll start with just Black culture, period. We'll just start with Black culture, period. Our culture powerful. This rap culture powerful. This beat community, this beat culture powerful, right? Like people are paying attention to what we're doing. And even on these smaller levels, like even each and every individual in this room, you got to follow. And there's people who rock with you for real, like the long way. You know that, right? The long way, right? So at the end of the day, I think it's, you know, when you think about creating the narrative and like how things move forward, I think at the end of the day, like we spend this energy on making these beat videos. We put our best foot forward when it comes to that. Like I think that finding a way to use your art to mobilize people, and it don't gotta be preachy, it don't gotta be in people's face. Like it could be, you know, whatever. If you drop a beat a week before it's time to vote, you better be telling people that it's time to go vote. And not just putting your beat out there, because like and granted, I know how sometimes being overly political or overly preachy can come off as corny. I don't care nothing about that. Number one, I'm not telling anybody to do that. I'm just saying, like, yo, we all stand on these, like, we stand on our own little powerful stage. Every single one of us in our own sphere of the world. Like, all of us got different followers, different people who believe in what we do. Like, you got to say something, especially if you know, like, it's on us.
Straight up and down. That shit is on us. Well, we got resources, we got tools, we got energy. We got 100 things that folks ain't telling us we got. It's the reason. Go ahead.
Speak real quick.
If I could speak, one thing, I don't know, like it's just keep consistently watching this shit happen over and over and over again. It's kind of tiring, and also it's kind of annoying. Like, to what you said, Drums, earlier, it's just like we have the stigmas of arming ourselves. Honestly, like that shit is the Second Amendment. Like we have a right to arm ourselves, and we have a right to defend ourselves and everything. And it's almost like disgusting to see like we consistently have to organize and protest and shit like that. And I'm sorry, y'all. Like,
you good? Take your time, bro. You good?
This is completely just like off the top of my head. So I'm trying to find the right words, but like to consistently have this problem where we're trying to exist in a like we're trying to have just like civil rights and stuff like that. The fact that we still have to keep doing this and we have to keep trying to prove our worth is a problem to me. And it's just like it's an issue that we continually have had for the past 100, 200, 400 years. Like this is it's getting to a point where like what we've been doing is unacceptable, because they're not going to get it. They're not going to fear us. They're not gonna change unless we change our methods. And like you said, like there's no stigma for them to arm themselves. Like I literally see pictures where they have 10-year-olds almost like little toddlers with guns, and they're shooting, and it's like it's celebrated and almost like pushed for them to know, because they're always preparing for something. It's always like survival. That's one thing that I noticed. They're running in the rain. They're out there doing all types of shit. Like we have to be on that standard. We have to be on our own shit. Like this whole, like, for me, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe I am wrong, but nonviolence is not the way to go at this point, at least from my standpoint. And I may be wrong, and if I'm wrong, please let me know. But like it's like from being at the protest for Mike Brown in 2016 to today, we're protesting the exact same thing for the exact same almost the exact same reason.
Right.
And it's just like it's like it hasn't been gotten. Like for us to have a movement that say Black Lives Matter, I see a problem with that, because that should just be a given. Like that should be understood. And I feel like there might be a better way to actually to voice this or to say this, but like this is just what I got so far. Like the fact that there needs to be a movement that says Black Lives Matter, and we had it for years and it still continues to be relevant to this day, is a problem for me.
Agreed.
And like we tried everything. We tried peaceful protests. We tried sit-ins. We tried everything, and it still continues to be an issue to this day. So I say that there might be a new method that we need to try.
Yeah.
And that method may not be as peaceful as they would hope, but
yeah,
you know.
No, I agree with you 100%, man. I don't think that you're wrong, bro. There's like a passage that's real famous. Everybody says this shit all the time. The meek shall inherit the earth. You hear that shit all the time? I was watching a talk between two really fucking smart dudes. I'm not gonna name no names because I ain't giving nobody no extra shit. Like we this is here. You feel me? But two really smart dudes were talking, and the one dude said the meek shall inherit the earth. And the other guy says, I feel like meek is the wrong word. So I did some research. I looked into the Bible, I looked into the translation. Now all this is hearsay. Obviously I haven't done the same research, but I like this shit, so I'm gonna repeat it. He said, I looked at the word meek. And the Hebrew translation for meek isn't meek, it's not weak. It doesn't mean the same thing. It says one who has a sword and knows how to use it, but has it sheathed. I can't fucking say that word. Put away. You know what I mean? So it's like one who has all the weapons they need, but aren't using them right now. And if you go look at the protests when they ran up on I'm gonna say Capitol Hill, or when they ran up on wherever they run up on, and they have their weapons. They're not using them though, but they have them. That changes the climate of that conversation a lot, right? I got 100 men with guns that know how to use them, obviously. That changes my approach when I speak to these people. It changes my approach when I contact them. I can't just shoot at them randomly. They might shoot back. I might win, but it's gonna suck. I don't want to lose people. I have to explain that to people, right? I'm not saying go buy guns and run up on the fucking Capitol. It's not what I'm saying. Please don't confuse me. What I am saying is arm yourself, educate yourself, understand how your weapons work, know how to use them, be disciplined enough that you're not just gonna randomly shoot at fucking people. But like having that discipline takes a lot of stuff to get to that point. You can't even buy fucking 10 guns at the same time. You have to buy them one at a time. You can't even buy the ammunition at the same time. You have to buy a couple boxes at a time. You understand what I'm saying? This takes years. You have to train yourself. You have to get used to using your weapon. You have to understand how it works, how it doesn't work, how to clean it, how to maintain. All these things take time, but they take that reading and that research and that fucking that spread of information that we keep talking about. That's why it's important. I keep saying, I'm gonna come back to this shit over and over and over again. But we can look at their techniques. We can look at their tools. We can look at how they laid this whole shit out. I was fucking watching a intelligence guy. I'm a fucking nerd. I just be on the internet watching shit like this all the time. I don't even fuck with Netflix or Hulu, none of this shit no more. I just watch what they do and what they say and what they don't say. I'm paying attention, right? And I suggest all of y'all do the same. It's fucking crazy how much information comes at you so fast when you just look between the lines and stop paying attention to the sensational shit that they put in your face all the fucking time. Start looking at the stuff that you don't historically look at. And start reading the shit that they don't tell you. Anyway, this intelligence guy says if I want to start or if I want to fuck up a government or shake up things and get my agenda pushed, let's say I want to go to South America and destabilize the government, push an agenda, put in a new regime of power, et cetera, et cetera. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a hero. I'm going to find my hero. I'm going to martyr that hero. And I'm going to martyr that hero in such a way that I create unrest, and I get people to protest. And when they protest, I'm going to fuck with them. I'm going to push that protest until it turns into a riot. I'm going to take that riot and turn it into policy change. And then I can put in place whatever agenda I have. And if you look at the events that we just had over the last couple weeks, you can see exactly that happening. And if you look at the things that happened, before that laid out, you can see this whole fucking plan is laid out perfect. There's so much information right there on how we move. Because you can see everything they did to get their shit off. We could do the same shit. You understand what I'm saying?
Yo, to that point, and DJ Don, what you brought up and how you felt is 100% valid. I think we forget how much power we really have. You know, Stolen Drums mentioned, buying guns and buying things, but the word buy refers to money, which I think is one of the weapons. At the end of the day, it is clear that with COVID-19 and what's happening with our Black men and women being killed by the hands of police, that at the end of the day, the only thing that this country really truly cares about, like from the beginning, is money. And what I've noticed in my time as a creative is that all of a sudden, your favorite brands, are investing into us. That urban dollar that we talk about all the time, that's us. We are the number one consumer in this country. We make the 1%, literally. We, as a community, we sit here and we complain and we cry and we complain and we cry, but yet we continue to give our dollar to that one person who doesn't give a fuck about us. You know what I'm saying? And they'll sit here and they'll write a really nice branded message on their social media platform that says Black Lives Matter, because they know that you'll continue to support them to make them richer. And I'm not going to say what they're doing is genuine or not, but it's up to us to really, really focus on our spending power and what we are investing our time into. Like, who are we buying from? Like, what, everything that we do, anything that we put our you know what they say, put your money where your mouth is. Like, that's a non-violent weapon that'll fuck some people up. Because just like how we come out here and we sit here, we're gonna not do this. There's companies that have tanked because Black people decided not to fuck with them. You know what I'm saying? But the problem is that we don't like to be inconvenienced. And this is myself included. I'm not gonna ever sit here and say, point the finger. This is me as well. This is all of us. We don't want to be inconvenienced. We like Whole Foods. We like Amazon Prime. You know what I'm saying? We like this company and that company. And my insurance is with State Farm. They don't give a fuck about you. They use prison labor. They donate to Trump, or their executives do. You know what I'm saying? And it's public information. So we could really find that out. And so that right there, this organization is so challenging, because I have this conversation, and millions of other Black people have this conversation, and then it stops at a conversation because we don't want to be inconvenienced. And that weapon, we wouldn't even have to step out the house. We wouldn't even have to burn a building down if we just held on to our money, if we just circulated that shit right within our own community and the people that fuck with us. Because there are a couple allies that do fuck with us. Salute to them. We love our allies, and we want to recognize them, and we appreciate y'all for believing in us. But for everybody else, fuck you. I'm not giving you my dollar. And that's really what we got to do.
It's that fucking same indifference that they have towards us as a people we need to have towards them as brands. If we do the research, which we did, we did this shit on Discord. Shout out to anybody that's in our Discord, and we're going to put a link up eventually so folks can hop in there. But just to piggyback off of all that fire ass shit that you just said, it takes one Google search. Companies that use prison labor, companies that supported apartheid, companies that made money off of fucking 9/11, companies that made money off of World War II and the Holocaust. Just look that shit up and don't fuck with them companies. Simple as that. I think another currency that we have is just as strong as money is attention. The only reason shit goes viral is because we fuck with it. Case study, Popeyes, chicken sandwiches. Do the math. Look at what happened. And if you look at that shit close enough, you can see that exact same thing happening again. Like, I looked at the fucking Popeyes chicken sandwich bullshit, and then I saw what happened with this recent phenomenon. And there's a lot of similarities in the way the content was rolled out. There's a lot of similar, like, if you look at viral campaigns, like we've already established that Facebook and Twitter and all these other companies on the internet, they censor their material, and they control what goes on their platforms, right? They censored the fucking president. They said he was lying the other day. He got pissed off, hence the, executive order to change the internet, if folks are hip to that. But, social media, sorry. But yeah, if you look at what they do for viral campaigns, they did the same shit. There's a reason why they didn't put a filter on all these videos of us getting murdered. If you notice, like, somebody kicks a fucking dog and there's this, parental advisory, don't watch this shit, it's disturbing. Like, there's a reason they didn't use those fucking advisories when they put the content in front of us, because they wanted us to do something. They wanted that to go viral. That's how the president got elected. Like, all of it, shit, like, if we fucking control our attention, like, hey, y'all don't fuck with us, we're good, we're off your platform, we'll be over here on Black Planet, we're gonna bring that back. Whatever the fucking platform we want to be on. Or maybe it's Instagram, but we just gonna fucking control the narrative on Instagram. Like, nobody from our culture is gonna fuck with you if you do any of this bullshit. We're gonna blacklist you, literally. We're gonna put your name on everything. You're gonna go viral for all the wrong reasons. Fuck your company. It's how people get canceled. That's where this culture came from. That's us, bruh. Like, that's not nobody else. So we can use that tool also, just to piggyback on all that fire shit you said a second ago, Rob. Yeah. Anyway, that's my 2 cents.
I feel like it's a multi-fronted war. Like, all of the things that we're saying here tonight, all of these things have to be instituted, and the people that have, like, that are educated. I might not be able to articulate this very well, but I'll just say it like it's off my head, kind of. But like the people who are skilled in those certain areas need to take charge and the lead in those areas and start to, like as we said earlier, disseminate that information and pass it out. But the people who are young, like the riots and people acted like the activities that were happening, like all of those are telltale signs. Like we like one like everybody said the regime change, but it's also like it shows like it has to be a multi-fronted war. There has to be people who are doing peaceful protests, and there has to be people ready to fuck shit up, because that does cost them money and it does draw public eyes to a situation. Unfortunately, with this situation, I think a lot of it was insurgents that were, you know, operators that were paid to come in and coax situations. But as far as like the scheme of things, like multiple fronts of the war have to be fought. We have to have people who do have financial security. We have to have people that are educated as far as like using computers and like computer science and like all of those different like areas. People have to come up. One of the things that I personally was working on, and I don't think we'll necessarily need them anymore now that Trump kicked off this crazy ass martial law shit. But I was involved with a couple of Black Bloc organizations in Austin, Texas, and through the midst of that, I learned how to like arm myself and protect and first aid for people who are at protests, and how to, you know, passing out that information. I think is like one example of, if you have information as to how to do a thing, kind of like spreading that out. That was kind of like really all I was really wanted to say, man. That everything that everybody's saying is absolutely a reality, absolutely true, and you're worthy of feeling that way. Like it all makes sense, but all of those things have to be incorporated together in unison by like doing just what we're doing right now, hopping on a Zoom call and organizing together and taking this shit and making it into a physical location as well for people to like have access to. And that's kind of all I wanted to say.
Word up. Appreciate that, Brody.
Yo, if I may.
Yeah, shoot it.
I do feel like a lot of people may not understand. So if I may, I want to tell basically my story of what occurred in Atlanta on Friday. May I do that?
Yeah, please do that. Please do that. That's what we need.
What I will tell you is I am a firm believer that nothing has to get violent until it seems violent. That's just a straight up belief of mine. I do believe that it would be wiser and smarter for every Black person to arm themselves. The reason I say that is just as much as Don said it. It's the Second Amendment. It's a right that every human being has, and we are human beings. Don't think of yourself as less. Think of yourself as more. What I experienced Friday, I drove to Atlanta to Centennial Olympic Park, right next to CNN, at 5:15 p.m. Pretty much when the protest of peace was coming to its close. As I went there, in my mind, I said, you know, something just doesn't feel right. This is too calm. This is too real right now. I have to at least keep my eyes open. As I said that, I parked. Not even gonna lie, I parked illegally because there was no parking spots. It was so full you couldn't even really get into any plazas out there. And when I went there, what I saw was peaceful and beautiful. I heard the chants, but I also heard some negative. I saw some negative. Don't get me wrong. I didn't think it was wrong to feel that way. You know, there were people throwing bottles. You know what I'm saying F you, F the police, going crazy, the whole 9 yards. But that doesn't mean that's not a positive outlook. What that means is that's anger instilled in our minds, the feelings of oppression, of frustration. And they understood that. Most cops there really did, but some did not care. And that was my biggest fear coming into it. Who really is affected by it at the end of the day? At the end of the day, the biggest affected people here through that whole protest is us, the skin we're in. And when I went there was an individual who I still believe to this now to be an undercover cop, trying to hand us bricks, trying to give everybody bricks to incite a riot, to start it. And it dawned on me. I was like, that's the shit we need to be afraid of, are the people that they profit from this. They need this. Cause as soon as the bricks came out, That's all you saw on the news. What about all the other peaceful things in the protests? What about all the things they were showing before that? The hugs everybody was giving to the cops. Everything that was going on positive was not expressed through that whole entire time. I didn't see a thing on the news for the last. All I've seen is violence. And when I was there, that's the first thing we noticed. The man trying to hand us bricks, he did a head count. He was counting the heads. He was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm just trying to figure out why are you counting that? What's going on? And before you knew it, we tried to tell an officer, this man's trying to incite a riot. Take these bricks from him. You ain't gotta apprehend him, but take the bricks from him. And the next thing you know, the cop looks at us, he just pushes us away. We go, officer, do you not understand he is trying to start a riot? We made it clear as day what these are used for, what this is used for. This is a weapon at this point. And the next thing you know, the officer, he just ignores it. And from what it looked like to me, the man looked at the officer, nodded his head, the officer nodded back, and that man threw 3 bricks in the air. He threw a brick in the air as far as he could throw it. He threw 2 other bricks at windows, and we watched them break. And when that last brick hit that he threw in the air as high as he could, it hit a cop, a SWAT officer, right in the head. That officer then pretty much almost low-key gets knocked out, but doesn't. I hear a couple of oohs and ahs. I try to take pictures of the gentleman before he runs off. And before you know it, I'm being told to put my camera down, aimed with one of those rubber bullet guns, being aimed at me, as if I was the one who started it. I'm yelling, it's just a camera, it's just a camera. And at the very end of it, what didn't make any sense to me, white people and black people shielded me. They're like, yo, this is a camera, you can't recognize the camera? And I'm realizing that they don't care that I'm fighting for my life, that I'm protesting for a right that I should have had 300 years ago. Probably longer. My ancestors should have had it. I'm just fighting for that simple right to live. And the worst thing about it is, as that happened, I heard the firings of tear gas let off. For anyone who has never experienced any type of tear gas, let me be the first to say this. Your eyes swell up. You dry heave. It feels like you're about to throw up. It feels like you're low-key, slowly dying. The effects last 2 to 3 days. You have to drink water consistently. If you don't have milk or magnesia on you, the feeling of tear gas is scary because it just destroys you slowly. And you don't understand what's going on and how to stop it. You can't touch your face. And before you know it, through all of that, you see and you start to hear everyone panic. People are running through the whole cause. I saw a woman who was running. She falls over and she gets her body trampled and her arm breaks right in front of me off of the concrete. I watched that happen. It was horrifying. I watched as a young child who was lost and didn't know where his father was. I grabbed him. He's bleeding from the top of his head. We're looking for his father and they're fighting the cop. These situations, this violence that happens, it's terrifying. And all that told me, it wasn't the violence that got to me. What it told me is we need to be organized. We need a plan. All we need is a plan. All we need is organization. Maybe at this point in time, instead of being the ones that are looked at as we're throwing bricks, we're looting, we're rioting, they call us thugs. We went there with peace on our minds. We went there with a heart of peace, with a mind of peace. And all that told me in that moment is we just need to be organized. We need to arm ourselves. They would have never tried anybody there if they're holding a gun. I promise you. They wouldn't have tried if we were armed, they would not have done it. But it's because we were unarmed, unprepared, unorganized. We were led astray.
Right. And that's intentional. It's very intentional. I feel like what you saw was the same thing everybody was reporting. And somebody got their speakers on again. I don't know who. Talk, I think it's you. Appreciate it. But yeah, what you saw is what everybody was reporting on the internet. There's all these insurgents. There's all these like agent provocateurs. There's all these undercover cops, the people with the armbands. You know what I mean? The people with the umbrellas. The people dressed in all black that don't look like, because all this stuff that everybody kept talking about. You know what I mean? I think you witnessed it firsthand. And that's important. Like in retrospect, it also kind of looks like you're targeted because you were documenting and maybe you got some evidence that you weren't supposed to have. But that's just like more evidence that this shit was so expertly done.
You mind if I jump in to provide more evidence
Yeah,
of the
should it?
expertly donedness of this shit?
Yeah.
So I was there with him on Friday. So were you.
What
But
up?
I think we have a unique perspective because we did not plan to come as a group. If we planned to come as a group, we would have stayed together as a group because that would actually be smart.
Right.
Please, if you go as a group, stay with the group. But because we didn't plan on it, we had eyes in different places at the same time with people that we trust, like family. And so we were able to piece together this narrative. As he was going through his shit, Trey, I was in the car. It doesn't matter how I got there, because this is the part I want to say. I'm watching the news. It's like, what, like 8:30, possibly? And as I'm watching these lives of my friends, I'm trying to check on my sister-in-law to make sure she's good, but her phone died. So I'm panicking, but I can't leave until she's good, you know? I'm listening, and I'm not gonna, shit, I don't even know, because I'm not sure what organization means yet in terms of giving people credit, I'm not gonna list any names. But there was a lady saying on the news, as we're seeing this shit happen in front of our eyes, well, we actually just got emails. Yeah, we she was clearly uncomfortable, like she knew she did not want to do this. It sounded like a black lady to me. It seemed like she was uncomfortable, stumbling. Oh, we just got emails saying that, the first group, the peaceful protest, they were done. They finished at this time and they're all home. This is a different group of individuals. And then the subheading on news was would-be heroes turn hoodlums. And I'm like, that alone solidifies that vernacular of thugs. Like now, if you say you're a peaceful protest, they're like, oh, well, then you're fine, because that's not who they're targeting, right? Right? No, it's the same niggas. I was there since 3:00. I was in the car still fucking there, listening to them say, oh yeah, they're all home. My sister-in-law is the reason I'm there. She was there before I was. Her whole group, all of us were still fucking, it's not the different group. There was a mother at the peaceful protest whose son got shot 76 fucking times. Let me rephrase that. They shot 90 bullets and 76 of them hit him. If there was ever a reason for us not to be peaceful, she would have been it. And that was part of our peaceful protest. But then I go by the CNN Center as we're in the park doing that shit, and they're being rough with our women. We're not gonna, any group of people, no matter what your skin color, even if you're not a human being, ants will fuck you up if you touch their queen. So you're gonna expect us not to try to defend our women when you're rough with them? And so they would, and the reason I know is because I came up looking for them. I came looking for my sister-in-law. And they're gonna be rough with our women. We defend our women, and then they mace us. And they just repeated this. It seemed like a rhythm almost. Rough. We ain't gonna take it. We are here because you killed one of us. You really think we're... And then it just, when the police commissioner herself came out to speak with us, we protected her. We did. All these evidences. There are people that came straight out of jail who was like, put the fucking bricks down. Do not do violence. I was proven wrong about my own people, and I had to check my own shit because I would fall prey to the narrative they fed us about us. But I saw different that day. And I saw that to a lot of us, it didn't even fucking matter because they were like, oh, y'all ain't gonna start it? Bet. And so just understand that, just like we've been saying this whole night, we can keep going, but there is a very intentional plan. Intentional. How so fast they have that narrative, but yet people were trying to jump in front of the cameras telling them the real thing, and they would not show that feed. How is it that every time we start to have discourse that rocks and water bottles happen to be thrown? Do you not understand that, let's say that is us, do you not understand that that's grace, my nigga? You killed one of us. You're hitting our women. You kidnapped one of our men as we were there. This is why we were, before it turned into the quote unquote riot, they took one of us and tried to beat him up behind the CNN logo. This is from Tiffany's perspective. Mike, don't worry about it. And they had to rescue that man. and they put the police officer that took him back on the front lines. While at the same time, there was this other police officer who was like, hey, don't say that. Hey, you should be angry. Hey, listen, I'm angry with you. You just can't destroy nothing. But hey, don't say it like that. That's how they get. Understand that whatever the fuck, whoever the fuck is the enemy, they are organized.
Very organized.
And we need to be too. We need to be organized to a standpoint. We, as Jones was saying, we need to find out who does what and put the pressure on them. As Trey was saying, we need to be organized better. We need to know who does what and when. We need to know. We need to be prepared for them like they are prepared for us. Okay? Because there's levels to this shit. There's levels beyond this shit, militant levels that none of us have any idea of. Okay? If protests were to occur in a certain sense like that, we need to have everybody with expertise in each level. The fact that Trey had his phone out, right, was able to, well, at least try to record and get any sort of information due to this parasite, I'm gonna say. He needs to be on a level where he's allowed to do that. He can do that. There were many people at the protest taking professional pictures. I've seen, I know most of them that had got great photos of what documenting history. Those type of people we need to have in certain sections in order to capture these I don't want to say anomalies, but like in senses where we can catch this stuff as it's happening and be able to deal with it in our own way, in our own terms. Because at this point, we can't trust them. Like Trey said, he was sitting there telling the cop that, yo, this man's here, he's gonna fuck shit up. And he's not doing anything about it. Of course, they're not gonna do anything about it. You see what's going on right there. Even though we're all in mind to keep the peace, we're all in mind to keep the peace. That's all. That's the ultimate thing here, because we're trying to come to a resolution without become pure anarchy. At the same time, when stuff like that runs out, I feel like we have to be prepared to move with the, not move with the, I'm sorry, y'all.
Are you good, bro? Take your time.
To just handle that. I feel like organization like that is one of the strongest key points. The military have a general, okay? The police have a captain. Who is it that we can call upon in our community that is smart enough, strong enough, has enough influence enough to say, hey, this, that, and the third, you understand that we're all here to do the same thing. The criminal justice, the justice system has failed us. We're not going to put up with anymore. There are certain people who know how to do certain things and are very great at that. Organization puts those people in those places so small things like that can be taken care of at a snap. That's just how I feel. I could be rambling. I could be going off on a tangent here, but it seems to me that if we were more ready for them, like they are ready for us, things like this could not transpire so easily.
Yeah, no, I think you're right, bro. Like, so this whole thing that happened, it was an intentional blindside. So it's like, all right, cool. Let's set up all these peaceful protests. Again, like I said, my homie from the intelligence agency said, set up a hero, martyr the hero, create unrest, start protest, derail protest into riot, derail riot into policy change, right? So nobody saw any of this shit coming. Everybody fully expected to go out there, plan, speak, strategize, go home, and then execute. There's a few people who came out at night after dark that came through to get busy. Different conversation. But for the most folks that ended up stuck out there that day, they came out there with a completely different agenda than what was put in front of them. If you look at the history of protests in Atlanta, you don't see shit like this normal. It's not a regular thing that people just walk up and there's fucking pallets of bricks all over the place. It's not normal. Just happen to happen. Right. Completely blindsided. Nobody's seen no shit like this before. It's not normal for you to go to some shit for a black man getting killed and see hella white people with hammers and shit. It's very strange. It's not normal. Nobody expected this. But now that we've seen it, and now that we understand how that shit works, we can say, okay, cool, next time we go out, this is how we move. You got to incorporate that shit. And then you got, amongst this page, just in the 20 people that's in here, you got military veterans, You have folks that been in Warrior Week, they've been stuck in the woods for a couple weeks, they know how to survive, know how to make food, fucking set up fires, create shelter, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Folks that's trained with weapons, that go to the range every week. All that shit's right here. You know what I mean? So again, like, you know, we just gotta, like we're already doing, arming ourselves, getting smart, spreading that knowledge, figuring out who can play what role. Some niggas better at that computer shit. You might be like, okay, I can code, put together a little app. You know what I mean? I run the spreadsheet, write some SQL. I send y'all a little joint. You can fill this out, and it's going to tell me everything I need to know to put you in the right buckets type of thing. Some other people are better to execute. Hey, listen, I got hella guns. I know how to shoot them. You know, you need them folks. Some people better at security. You know, they've been working security for 10, 15, 20 years. Just like we had the security staff at the show. Those guys worked the front. If some shit popped off, they knew how to handle that. You know what I mean? So it's like everybody plays their role, you know. And this is step one. We had this conversation, you know, we getting familiar with what happened. It's good to understand what just in the speech that we saw. For anybody who hasn't seen the speech, Donald Trump popped up and was like, hey, shit's fucked up. You know, it sucks. I'm paraphrasing, obviously. Sucks that George Floyd died. Sucks even more that y'all fucking shit up. So this is what I'm gonna do. Curfew 7 o'clock for everybody. I need every state governor to go ahead and roll out the National Guard. And this is his word. Completely dominate any protests, any civil unrest that we have. Completely dominate that. And if you can't, I will. I'll use the army to do so.
Yeah,
right?
He said dominate the streets.
That's what he said. That's exactly what he said. Yep. Dominate the streets. And if you can't, I will. Right? So just putting that out there for folks who haven't heard that. That's what that man said. This is coming on, 4 days after he signed an executive order to change how social media works. I'm not really sure what happened with that. I just know he signed it. I don't know what happened after that. But if that shit ran through and ran its course, then social media is not quite the same as it was anyway. And if you can read between the lines a little bit and see that certain people in social media, because there's only so many people that own all the media. That's another thing that we need to look at. Hey, so for anybody that's on this page or watching via whatever channel, shout out to everybody who's watching on YouTube, Periscope, Facebook, Twitch, and wherever else. We're going to open up a Discord channel for everybody, send that out via email, text message, and we'll be posting it on socials and whatnot. And we should all jump in that Discord, separate one from the one that we already have. Shout out to everybody that's already in there. But that one is specifically for community building. So a lot of this information will be there. But yeah, right on the heels of saying I'm going to fuck with social media to make it say what I want it to say. And then he said Antifa is a terrorist organization, but Antifa is an idea. It's not an organization. You can't call that shit. You know what I mean? You can't be like, yo, give me the captain of Antifa. It's not a thing. So essentially what you're saying is anybody who doesn't fucking think like I think, I can lock up. They're terrorists. Anybody who says some shit that I don't want them to say on the internet, I can delete. You understand? There's a lot of things happening really quickly here. So yeah, on the backs of that, I just wanted to put that out there for folks that weren't hip or whatever. That's what's happening right now in real time. During the speech, there was no mention of fucking racism. There was no mention of a murder. There was no mention of police brutality. And for me personally, I don't know for everybody else, but for me, those three omissions speak louder than anything else he fucking said outside of I'm using the army to fucking dominate the streets. Outside of that statement, his omission of those three things speak louder.
Those were reinforced by him saying that.
Exactly. He reinforced all three of those points. Great. And all you gotta do is listen close, listen to it 2 or 3 times and you'll realize what he's really saying. I'm going to make sure I protect your rights, specifically the Second Amendment. That's a quote. He said that shit. I'm gonna make sure I fucking protect your rights, including the Second Amendment. It's like, yeah. And then you got this rash of videos that pops up because I challenge everybody in here to do the same. Find a couple people on the other side of the aisle. Find a couple people with the opposite ideology that you have and follow them and follow their followers. Get an idea of what's happening on both sides because the programming works fucking great. It works for us, which is why when you walk down the street and you see another black man and y'all look at each other, there's like a 20% chance that y'all might end up wrestling, but then it's not because it's love. But that 20% chance comes from the fucking programming. You feel me? They got the same shit. They have their programming. It's a little bit different than ours. And you can see it when you go follow them cats on social media. You can see their programming. So pay attention. You get to see different outlooks and different shit. I didn't learn anything about the United States of America until I moved out, went to a different country and looked back. And was like, damn, there's a lot of shit that's crazy over there. Some cool stuff too, but there's a lot of stuff that's crazy over there, but I couldn't see it from inside of it. You feel me? If your car is dirty as shit, you can't see that from the inside. You got to look outside. Like, yeah, I got my rims is fucked up. You can't see that from the inside. You feel me? Anywho, but yeah, do that. Follow people from the other side. Hop on this Discord that we're about to put up. Pull in information. Save that shit. If you come across a video that makes sense to you, bookmark it, save it, send it to yourself, put it in some kind of document. Because I don't know how long we're going to have access to this stuff. I don't know how long we're going to be able to search it and just be able to find it. You know what I mean? Like, save that stuff, share it with your friends, share it with your folks, share it in this Discord we're about to send you. But yeah, you know, fucking shout out to Killer Mike, because this was like the line that he kept saying: plot, plan, strategize, organize, and probably mobilize. And he kept the Kill Your Master shirt on, and it kind of resonated for whatever reason for me. And then I keep seeing it. I saw like one of the anonymous repost channels had kind of just put up that same statement. And I was like, okay, this is like a resonant phrase. I don't know what that means yet. I'm gonna keep looking for it. But in the short term, this is what we're doing. We're planning right now. We're getting a lay of the land. We kind of see what happened. We're understanding the scope and the ramifications of the conflict. Like, we see what the fuck just happened. And now we got to take that information, fucking, like, how you say, decompress it. That's the wrong word. Unpack it. That's a better word. Unpack it, understand it, spread that information out, and then we can actionize it. So now we can say, okay, yeah. Obviously, there's going to be a curfew after 7 o'clock. So what can we do before 7? Obviously, they're using the police. So what can we do on that front? Do we know any policemen? Do we know anybody that we can influence? Maybe we don't give them too much information, but like, you know, we know anybody we can speak to over there to get some information? Like download the Citizen app. Get you a police scanner. Fucking watch the watchers, you know, like, as much as we can, you know, but we got to share that information and we just got to be cognizant of where we at right now, because we're in uncharted territory, man. It's like a fucking video game. This is a new map. Like, we don't know where nothing is, bro. We got to figure all this shit out bit by bit. And it kind of continue to play on that video game example. What I've noticed, I had this discussion with Reese the other day, is minorities in general. We make up 17% of the population as black people in America. We make up less than Spanish folks, or people of Spanish descent, and Latina, however you say that without sounding like an asshole. But we make up less than, you know what I mean? I want to say out of like 5 or 6 groups, we're like number 2 or 3 on the bottom, you know what I'm saying? That said, we're fucking non-player characters in the video game of America. We're NPCs. They don't give a fuck. It is what it is. So when they tell our story and they create our narrative, it doesn't have detail. It's just like that fucking strawman, just that stick figure. It's not filled in. It's just stuff there. It's our job to take that and make our own video game where we're fucking first player. We're the narrative over here. So you can't really expect government to really look out for you without disenfranchising a big chunk of society that doesn't have the same beliefs that you do, that don't have the same experience. So by default, they can't the whole way fuck with you. So like, knowing that, it kind of helps you like navigate. Like, okay, cool. I know they can't really fuck with me the whole way. They can really only fuck with me enough to appease the people that they really do care about. So when they get pissed off and we're visible to them, usually when we're burning shit, because then they're like, why are they fucking burning stuff? And then people go, oh, because one of their folks got killed, and that's what they get. That's usually what they say. And then somebody explains it, and then they explain it. And then a few people go, oh, that is kind of fucked up. That is kind of fucked up. Hey, Trump, that's fucked up. And then they go, all right, enough people told me that it's fucked up that I have to do something to make those guys happy. But don't think that shit's for us. It's not. It's for them. But knowing that, we can navigate. You understand? It's not necessarily some shit we got to be mad about, but it's definitely a really good frame of reference from where we are and how we're moving and shit. The other thing, United States is a business. It's a big business. So once we start building our business up and our business starts to compete, then they have to fucking destroy us. They have to. They can't have competition. This is a monopoly. There's no room for multiple business. There's no such thing as competition here. America first, everything else second. You understand that? So like, if we get in the way of them making money, they got to get the fuck out. We got to get out the way. So I'm rambling. Forgive me. I'm sorry.
Hey, let me piggyback off something that you said,
Yeah.
Chime, real quick.
Yeah.
And this goes to all my people in Controllerize. First of all, I want to say this to you first, right? And then everybody watching, and then further and further and further down the line. I think one of the most important things that we can take advantage of, especially in the age of information, especially in the age of the internet, especially in the age of social media, is that like, yo, like you can be your own storyteller, right? And that's powerful, like creating a narrative and being able to tell your story. So when Trey tells us about what happened at the protest, which is not all that visible for everybody else, you got to start thinking to document what you see from your perspective for other people to see, right? And not for, you know, because we're good at telling our story. We're good at painting a picture of who we are as artists. Like we paint this picture of who we are as artists, and people relate to that. Like we've created these stories of who we are as artists. We got to continue to control the narrative of who we are as Black people, as just human beings. Period. Right. So when I tell you my story, it's a little harder for you to shoot me. Not that I'm saying it's okay that anybody got shot. It's not what I'm saying, right? I'm just saying, like, when you have like a control over your narrative, or you're the one that's telling your story, it's hard to dehumanize you. You ain't got no choice but to see me now. I'm telling you my story. I think that like each and every single one of us has the power to tell a million different stories, and like you should feel some like. Let me not tell anybody how they should feel. I'm gonna cancel that. That's not the right way to say things. I'm saying like I feel a duty to like tell my story, and not just my story, but like my story of my people and like where I come from, and how resilient we are, and how peaceful we are, how beautiful we are, how beautiful my hood was. Like, yeah.
But I feel like it falls on deaf ears.
It does.
Or we don't even get a chance to tell, you know? Like,
right.
George Floyd and Breonna and Ahmaud, like, they didn't even get a chance to tell their story. We don't even know. We knew about them after they died. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sure that they had things that they were working on. I'm sure that they had, you know, ideas that they wanted to execute. And so it's discouraging. Like, yes, and I agree with you. We should share our stories. But you can't help but deny the feeling, you know, where it's just like we're telling our stories, but only the people that we rock with are listening. You know what I'm saying? And it's like when we tell our story, like they only want to see the finished product of all the hard work that we do. And that finished product is our Beyonce, our Jay-Z, you know what I'm saying? Our LeBron James, our Michael Jordans. They want to pay to see that finished product. They don't really give a fuck about all the 10-year-olds and 12-year-olds who are trying to be, you know what I mean, the next Barack Obama. And it's just like, I agree. We've got to continue the story, but continue telling the story. But I feel like there is just this wall between us versus them, you know?
Non-player characters.
It's very discouraging.
That's us being non-player characters. We're never going to be the main character in the story of America. Never. It's just not going to happen. But that's absolutely okay. It's absolutely okay. Us telling a story to the people that we rock with is the reason why we're here. And I'm gonna let you say what you guys say, Reese, but I just wanted to get that off.
I'm gonna add a little bit more to it, because I guess what I mean is like you'll have the media painting the situation one way. You got, you know, forgive my language, President Dipshit telling things another way, and then it's two different. It's, you know, it's hard to figure out what's real in all of this. But like for me personally, I know one of the things that moved me today personally was just like one of the things that I saw. You begin to see like these little individual stories all over social media. And I saw, you know, a kid, like a super young kid. He was like a Hispanic kid, and he got hit with a rubber bullet in the head. He was standing still peacefully with his hands in his pocket. And the next thing I know, he just drops, right? But I think like when you put that story out there, like it's important for the world to see that story, right? And this is not a story that's on news or CNN. This is something I happen to randomly see on Twitter. I know I probably can't pull it up again if I tried, right? I don't know where it's at. It was random. I'm saying like when we start to tell those stories and make them widespread and public, they like people have no choice but to see some of us. And maybe it doesn't make it to everybody, but you know the power of social media. You know people to share things. You know that sometimes you post something before you know it, it's shared 100 times. And like that's what I mean. Like, but like not just to share like the stories like when you're cognizant of the fact that you have the power to tell a story, you're gonna tell it a little bit different than just telling it for no purpose. You're gonna tell it with some, with a little bit of purpose in what you're doing with it.
I agree with that. I definitely agree with that.
To support that, man, I feel like I agree with what you're saying, and to agree with Raw, I also agree with what she's saying. So it's not putting the story out for other people, it's sharing the story with us and with the people who share our agenda. So it's important to document the things, but like eventually the internet is not about to pop the way it is now. We're not gonna have there's a group in Chicago that were creating their own internet servers and their own share abilities. Like unless we have ways like that to share our stories, eventually they're gonna become muted and censored. So sharing our stories with those who care, not trying to appease the other, population that doesn't give a fuck about Black lives or people of color or trans or gay, like any of these oppressed people. We just got to share with the allies and the people that care.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That'll be the most important people to share with.
Hell yeah. Inner strength creates outer strength. I think.
Black Lord, you have something to say?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, so I was there on Friday. Mind you, I'm still traumatized from that shit, and today is Monday, right? Um, man, what reason why I feel like they did what they did, people did what they did, like riots and shit and looting and shit, is because I feel like people are demanding rights and change for a very, very long time. 500 plus years, and it's a cry for help for humanity. You know, even today, what I'm saying, when I went to the protest today, we was on some peaceful shit. You know what I'm saying, and people are still trying to like provoke the police. Trying to say, oh fuck the police, da da. And I was like, yo, like chill, 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 man. Like y'all don't even be on that shit. Friday was already enough, man. Y'all already fucked the city up and shit, bro. Like you heard what Trump says and shit, bro. You know what I'm saying? And just like we try so hard, like, what I'm saying? I try so hard to keep the shit peaceful as I can, you know. But it's just like, folks is, still provoking that shit, bro. You know? And just like, for me, we just need, a we just need a better organization. You know what I'm saying? We need to be better organized, and we just need, change, bro. You know what I'm saying? Because this shit is sad, bro. It really breaks my heart, you know what I'm saying, to see things like this right now, man. As we speak, bro.
Hell yeah. No, this.
That's all I gotta say, man.
That's what's up.
Okay, can I say
that.
something real quick?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, I was at the protest today too, and yeah, it feels like, and after hearing all y'all opinions too, I feel like it's less pressure on us, and I feel like it's more pressure on them to just own up to like, some kind of accountability, because we've been making noise for years. Like we keep trying to find ways to make noise, but I feel like at the end of the day, there needs to be some kind of acknowledgement of what we're saying. And I feel like they really need to make that widespread the same way like we're trying to do that too. And I mean, whatever steps we can make to get that out there, cool. But I think that's the first thing, like what kind of laws can be put in place to, shape up the police system? Like what can we do on a lawful legislative level to do all that, because the protests are cool, but like I don't know, like if you want rioting to stop, if you want like all that, it's like you can't blame people. You really have to just blame the situation that caused all this, which is pretty much organized by the government. I think y'all were touching on how organized it is, like even the protests and how we're kind of playing into like we're kind of I feel like we're like puppets now. And I think there really needs to be some accountability from like, from the White House, really. I think that's like the biggest thing. I don't know.
Here's my opinion, or here's what I think. We have allies, right, that are able to get in rooms that we can't, just because of how they look, and we can't get into those rooms. And I personally have had a few allies reach out to me asking me, how can I help? Which annoys me because you should kind of figure that out yourself. We all have access to the same information, but it's cool. The fact that you're asking, all right. But what I urge all of us to do is, if we have those conversations with our allies that are able to do things that we can't, is to continue having uncomfortable conversations. And it goes back to being inconvenienced. A lot of us, a lot of allies will come to us and be like, I'm with you, I support you. They repost our posts, they go out and they protest, and then that's it. When they're sitting at the dinner table with their other racist family, it's all quiet, you know what I mean? And it's all like, oh, well, they don't really talk about it. But I mean, these conversations need to happen, because I'm starting to see, a lot of people are silent, but I am starting to see a lot of allies step up for the first time. Now, mind you, we've been in this shit for fucking ever. And I'm starting to see allies who, when Mike Brown died, ain't say shit. When Sandra Bland died, ain't say shit. When all of these other people died, they didn't say shit. And now all of a sudden, they're like, I'm with you. I support you. So I challenge anybody that is with us, continue making noise outside of social media and outside of that text message to your one Black friend that, like, I got your back. You need to have these conversations with the people, like your uncle who goes to the White House, who works in the White House, or who has access to resources that we can't. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are conversations that we need to push. Like, if y'all are feeling uncomfortable, because I know white people are feeling uncomfortable, or non-Blacks are just like, I don't really know what to do. Like, yes, feel uncomfortable, because we've been suffering our entire life. Since I was born into this world, I've had to suffer just because of the color on my skin. So this little bit of uncomfortableness that you're feeling is what we've been experiencing our whole life. So you can push a conversation for the sake of the future, because these conversations is what can access like these policy changes by people who have access to these rooms that we can't get into. So I just wanted to say that.
No, that's what's up. I think, like, go ahead, jump in. Go ahead.
But Ron, I want to ask you, and I completely agree with you. I agree with you on the ally part and stuff. But at the same time, one of those conversations I feel need to be had is like, which one of the allies is like, who is authentic? Who's really down with this? Who's the ones who's really going to stand with us in the struggle, as versus to the others that, by quoting Gil Scott Heron, going home with a clear conscience and a degree?
That's a really good question. I only rock with people that I rock with. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got people that I know that I don't consider them to be a white person just because I know them. I've established a relationship and a rapport with them, and I know that they've got my back. You know what I'm saying? And I've got theirs. And a couple of us have those people in our lives. I feel like that's who I'm talking about. And if we extend it to those branches, then the rest should continue on. I'm not saying, when you at Kroger and you see the white woman behind you, you be like, hey man, can you please like let people know not to kill us? Nah, because like you said, we don't know who she is or where she's from. But I'm talking about the people who rock with us and support us, who buy from our businesses, who believe in us, not just our culture, but actually believe in who we are. Like, let's not forget about those people, because I know we're all angry and we're kind of pretty much like, you white people, we hate you. but I have personally experienced, people who are not Black go harder than some Black people. You know what I'm saying? So, like to those people who I trust is who I'm putting that plea out to.
And let's not
I would say action and I'm sorry.
No, Q's.
Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say action and accountability.
Yes.
If you watch a person's actions and you hear the accountability that they take for themselves and for the space that they occupy, because like privilege is something that can be delivered onto you without, like, just like being Black, you can't help that you're born white. So that's not necessarily the issue, but it's checking people who check themselves, people who speak on their privilege, people who are aware. And then you watch their actions, their spending habits. Who do they kick it with? And then you also have to check yourself, though, because you got to look around your circle. How many people do you have that are Spanish in your circle? How many people do you have that are trans? How many people, like intersectional, like friendships and those kind of provable actions in the way you move through your life. And that should let you know if a person's worth your time or not, in all actuality. Well, in my opinion.
Yo, all right. So shouts out to Ryan and Q's for speaking on that. Because at the end, Ryan and I was talking earlier today, like it doesn't really, like I'm not gonna call you, it doesn't matter whether you're white, Black, whatever, like there's a familiarity with you controllerized folks, we can speak on this. You know what controllerized feels like every week. Feel like love, right? Like exactly. These are people who are part of our tribe. They feel familiar, they feel warm, right? So we don't want to discount everybody. Like you know who your tribe is. Like we gotta lean on our tribe, not just Black folks, but like our whole entire tribe, right? Like that's important too, I think.
Agreed.
I feel that too.
Yeah.
Also, I think it's also important to just don't be afraid to just ask people how they genuinely feel about things too. Because I think a lot of time we like to assume, the best and the worst too. So I think we also just need to be like, yo, like you being a person who's like, not Black, like how do you feel about everything going on right now? And not just assume, like not only just wait for them to, come out in full support, which is, great, but I don't think we should be afraid to just, like Cube said earlier, like check people too, like, yo, like, what's up? Let me hear how you feel. Cause I think that's how that can also help identify those people too who like really rock with you. You feel me?
Hell yeah, I agree with that.
I mean, you gotta be really careful with insurgents though, and as they said, provocateurs, because a lot of people if you peep that COINTELPRO type shit, like a lot of people will act like they're down for a cause for information. So that's why I say action and accountability. So like if you find the bridge between those two, a lot of a person's makeup will be revealed, because sometimes they can sound very genuine and sometimes they can seem very genuine. But there's, you know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense.
No, people good car salesmen sometimes. I feel what you're saying. And they just slide right in there and then be on the fuck shit the whole time. But, just
in the grass.
Yeah, all of that. All that's real shit. I think to kind of offer a counterpoint to this conversation and be that guy a little bit, I think us having this inner strength, that's why I say knowledge of self is so important and shit. Us having this inner strength and this inner confidence and this inner, for lack of a better term, juice, for us having our own shit and being strong about it, and it being about us and us not needing approval from nobody else. Like, yo, fuck what y'all think. This is what we on. Feel me? I think us having that is polarizing enough that people who support have to always support. And if you halfway support, you're going to look goofy. We're going to see you. You know what I'm saying? But if you really fuck with us, you really fuck with us, and it's going to take some sacrifice to get there, and we're going to see that too. But I think that inner work is the work, at least at this point, just based on what I'm seeing and based on how easy it was for motherfuckers to manipulate and change the narrative and use social media to do all this crazy stuff. Not just including this, but other stuff, But I think based on that, us working on controlling our diet culturally, you know what I'm saying, as a people, us working on being conscious and cautious about who we fuck with as far as brands are concerned, and political people are concerned, and political parties are concerned. Because fuck all that everybody Democrat shit. That's goofy. You know, it's way more than just two parties. But nobody talks about that. You know, but yeah, all of that energy. Once we get our shit in a space and we focus on us and we make our own video game, to come back to that, you know what I'm saying, that example or whatever, we got our own situation like that, I think everybody else doesn't have a choice. So it's like, I can walk into fucking Walmart and I can shop, I can do whatever I want, but if I want to go to Costco, I gotta have a card. There's a layer I gotta get through. I gotta have that card process. Costco kind of got their shit together. Their prices is better, blah, 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 blah. They got their own system set up. You know what I mean? You got to be in the buyer's club. If you want to order some shit from mail order, it's another level. I got to be super in the club and so forth and so on, to the point where it's like, yeah, in order for you to even be present in this space, you had to be qualified 4 or 5 different times just by the nature of our organization. If that makes any sense. I think the allies that we see once we kind of have that set up, be different type of allies. It won't be a question of where their alliances are, what their allegiance is. You know what I'm saying? Like we know their intentions at that point. You know what I mean? But I think that inner work is going to be way more valuable than anything we could do outer-wise, be it allies or be it exports or whatever the fuck else. Like, us getting our shit together is probably the best thing we could do.
1,000.
Big facts. Yeah.
Word.
I actually wanted to add in on some of that.
Word up.
Actually. So in retrospect, right now, you know, we have like, I don't know, we say I have 20 people in here right now. And I'm not going to say what is in everyone's pockets, but in this case, considering the shit that is happening, the only way we can do anything is to pull together and actually, for us and our lines of communication, to beef up where we are right now. So like, for example, like if all of us had like $100 and we all, maybe drums, maybe you kept it or somebody kept it, who cares who keeps it, but like kept it, and from there we generated like where we wanted to move with what we wanted to take or what we wanted to like put out there. So like, I don't know, like video games to like movies to, or just like changing the entire influence around like what is being said as far as like what we have within our community, and then pushing the idea of like vegetation, building farms, I don't know, like having our own bank, shit like that, you know?
Yeah. And the fire part is, a lot of that shit exists right now. Like, we got black banks and local co-ops and urban farms, all types of shit. It's there. You know what I mean? And like all these like kind of fragmented pieces of this idea of us having our own situation are already there. It's just connecting them. Go ahead, Trey.
I really got to ask this, not just to the 20 of us here, but to everybody watching. The biggest thing that I see when we talk about this is, I really have to ask, you know, are we ready for that? Because it's ultimately going to come to that. Are we ready to sacrifice, you know, what we knew then to what we want to see now? You know, we're outraged, we're frustrated, but I really have to ask that question. That's a serious question. Are you ready to leave your, I don't know, let's just say T-Mobile was a part of some crazy stuff. State Farm, like Rod just said, are we ready to leave that? Are you ready to break away from that?
My question to you.
Are you ready to, you know?
Yeah, my question in response to that would be, do we have a choice?
No.
Fuck no.
Have to do.
Absolutely no choice.
We ain't ready, but we need to get ready.
Yeah, there's no choice. We have no
That's why
choice.
we're here now talking about this stuff. We're getting that information around. We're now in the point where we acknowledge we need to prepare ourselves. We can acknowledge it now. It's not a secret. It's not even an ignorance thing anymore. We're at the point to, we see what's going on. What are we gonna do about it? And it just, the evidence shows that the end game is, we're gonna have to be prepared. We're gonna have to be prepared to unplug, so to speak, and reroute to our own. Because not only will that be not only will we be able to build our own foundation to be self-sufficient, but we literally are breaking away from those who have control, not just over us, it's just like have control of the infrastructure. They don't have us to power us, like we're batteries or something. Not to make a Matrix reference here, but I'm just saying.
That shit is real though. But go ahead. No,
So,
that's some real shit you saying. I'm just saying, talk your shit. Go ahead. That's all.
At some point, now that we realize what this is, we're having these conversations, we can now, if we're not prepared, we can at least begin. We could plant the seed.
Yeah, no, that's what this is.
My question is, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Trey. Go ahead.
My question is, do we make a forum? When we send these Discord links out, do we spread like a forum or some type of informational link where you can get all this access information? Hey, these are all the Black-owned businesses. Hey, this is where you should go for your insurance, for your credit. Hey, this is what you should do to invest in this. This is what you should do to basically. I need to know, because let me just say this from the outside looking in. If I'm not just a protester and a Black man in America, I'm also a human being. I need to know that I'm safe when I make this choice, because I'm not safe right now, and I'm scared. Right. I want to make sure when I make this choice, when I make this transitional change, it's sustainable. That's the big topic. That's what I want to make sure we're ready for.
Can I go off of something that you said, Trey?
Please go ahead.
So, just first off, I want to thank everybody that's here, and I really appreciate y'all having me on. Much love to everybody here. It's a fucking difficult time. We talked about a lot of stuff tonight, and I'm sure we've triggered a lot of thought in everybody who's tuned in, and that's just fucking awesome. So, as we know and as we talked about, money and information equals power, and then we can use that power to create action. And I just wanted to say, in my humble opinion, if we can get one actionable asset basically at our disposal from this conversation, then we can succeed going forward. And so I just want to stress the importance of pulling together like a Discord thing so that more people can come together and bring their opinions and information and what they can bring to the table. So that was pretty much it. I just think that if we can create one actionable asset where people can band together and continue to form other assets, that's the jam right there.
Oh yeah, no, 1,000% agree.
Yeah, man. And
1,000% agree.
Also too, just to piggyback off of Trey and Bump, yeah, like Trey mentioned, how does he know if this is the right move? Like, how can we be sure? I think there's really no way to know for sure other than to just go for it. I mean, it's really all about community growing. Controllerize has been around for a minute, and it was really just off the sheer, just off the strength of we want to see this grow. We want to create this platform, and here it is. So, who's not to say that we could just tackle other things the same way? Just sharing it, growing it, tending to it, making sure it's hella loud. Just being as informative as we can about a specific cause. And I think that really that passion and that collective info kind of just ensures itself. I feel like we already know the answer. We really just got to go ahead and do it at this point. You know what I mean?
One of the things I kind of wanted to say attached to that and the information is moving forward, regardless of what happens with this internet, one of the things that we'll have at our disposal are something called dead drops. That's when you install a physical USB drive in a public area and put information on it so that other people can share that information. Because I really feel like that's gonna be a next big step with our access to how we move through. We won't. I don't think we're gonna have internet the way that we have it currently. and dead drops. And also I have a couple of other tips for protesting and protesting safety and first aid. If anybody's free, maybe they can hit me up sometime this week and we can get together I kind of want to make like a pamphlet. I'm not really trying to do too much on the graphic design tip. Maybe we can just do wordage. But I would like to kind of get some of that information out on like different tactics and safety tips.
Oh yeah. No, we definitely need that, man. Definitely.
On top of all of that, I feel like, especially with the internet going and stuff, I don't know. In my own opinion, I feel like, I don't know, you just find some way to reinvent the Negro spiritual on some weight in the water, bro. I'm dead ass serious,
bro. Can I mind if I talk about that? Because that's, I think there's a charge on us to be modern day Levites, bro. Like real shit. Like we don't understand. Like, let me not say we. This is part of like the rug being yanked from under me. The original importance of the hip hop movement, like how they literally sewn plans and routes of escape into quilts. And before that, it's always and consistently been coming down that the actual voice of the people, since information has always been controlled, has been in the art, has been in the music, it has been in the Renaissance people. And it's like, it's scary because it makes you question, like, am I qualified? But struggle is the qualification. It's like everything is just, there's such a big charge and a heavy weight, but it's not a negative weight. It just feels like there's an agenda, but also there is also a counter agenda. There's a reason why all of us in particular are here. There's a reason why all of us talented people with these talents, before all of us were this aware. I know a lot of us been aware. I can only speak for myself. There's a reason. So as much as I'm like emotionally in a negative way, it's like there's a positive yet heavy burden that I feel like all of us know without me even saying it, what that means for individually for each of us, you know?
I feel like at 9:15 you came on the call and you voiced your feelings, right? We've been on the call for about 2 hours now, and you asked, what can I do? What do I do? As we navigate these uncharted waters, you genuinely, as a Black man in America, was just like, I don't know what to do. And then now you just answered your question. Because the one thing about this group, you know, when we all started at Slice 3 years ago, this is an artist community. You know, we don't look at the color of your skin. We don't look at who you love or your sexual orientation. We have one thing in common, and that's music and how it makes us feel and how it transforms us. I've watched you guys throughout all of COVID-19, you know, we were stuck in quarantine, come out with the most beautiful artistic works of art while we were trapped in our homes. And we are yet challenged with, we're met with another challenge. And just like you said, in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, the people that emerged that really was a voice of reason and all of the same thing that we're experiencing were the artists, the musicians, the jazz players, the singers, the Ella Fitzgeralds, the Nina Simones. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're the ones that probably felt the exact same way that you did, where they were like, I mean, I don't know if I want to go protest because I gotta work and I need to like keep my house, and I don't know, but I do know that I can make music. You know what I'm saying? And the same way y'all, especially you guys, you know, I play your shit. I'm learning how to make it, but right now I just play your shit. But I need the creators of the world. And it doesn't have to just be music. You could be a painter. I want to shout out the artist community, because we are feeling like, damn, what the hell do we do? You know what I'm saying? And let me go ahead and say, for whatever your talent is, you know what I'm saying? In a war, they need medics. In a war, they need preachers. In a war, everybody has a role. And if your role, you might be the lawyer, you might be the one who knows how to write really well, you may know how to talk really well, you may not have the voice, but you know how to put music together, whatever it is that you're good at, or you're kind of good at, or you want to get better at, this is your time to shine as an artist, because someone is going to respect and need that. As a DJ, I'm sitting here like, dang, what do I do? You know what I'm saying? But I do know that I have a mini platform. Chris has a platform. You guys all have platforms, whether it be 10 followers or 1,000 followers. Somebody's checking for you. And that goes to Reese's point with your story, is use who you are as an artist and as a creator and be like, I don't know what to do, but this is what I've got. And if that means that one person in California who rocks with you feels that message, then they can go and say or do something different. I'm sure you guys have all had fans who said, hey man, your music changed my life. Or hey man, I listened to your shit when I was depressed. Or hey man, like I was rocking your shit in my car when I broke up with my girlfriend. Like our music is the message. Like let's use that and push that message forward. Own question, Rhetoric.
Sad too. I mean, like, during this whole virus, like, we didn't have no more basketball. Pretty much all sports were dead. It was mainly just arts and music to just entertain us. I mean, we're watching versus matches on IG glued to our phones damn near every weekend. It's like, just to go off the Negro spiritual flow, it's like, once we really are able to craft our stories and really, voice where everything is going and coming from, I think that's really just the direction we need to stay in. Like, just make sure that we're using our platforms to spread like a worthy message.
Hell yeah.
Like any opportunity we get a chance to. Yeah.
And I actually wanted to touch on that, on the sports, because I can't remember exactly where I heard this, but it was just something that always kind of stuck with me, was that one of the emperors, they asked, it was always like a thing of mutiny when somebody had too much power. Like the people would always do a mutiny. So what was done was that they would set up coliseums, and they would have like games. They would have like I think that was like the origin of the Olympics or something like that, and they would always have games, or they would always have entertainment in order to keep the people like engaged and entertained, so that they wouldn't mutiny against the actual like whatever power that may be at this time. We're in a unique time period where like one of our biggest like entertainment, which is sports, has been paused, and I think that's what really has gotten us like in this mode where it's just like, all right, now it's time for change, because one of our biggest distractions has been stop. So I think that's one of the many things where it's just like, okay, now it's time for us to really get our shit together because of that. So yeah, that was just that's just what I wanted to add into it.
And that's a beautiful thing too, because the fact that all of us, we
can, that I agree with that. That looks like an agenda.
Yeah, like we all create here, so we can literally just go on Bandcamp, SoundCloud, hit upload, and potentially change the mood of someone's day. Like it's not on some Mandingo. It's not on some like you know what I mean. Like it's not somebody forcing us to just make some shit that we don't want to, which just goes back to what Reese was saying and what Ra was saying. Just the storytelling, making sure that we're crafting all this right, and making sure that we just continue to just share how we feel and let people hear that and let them resonate with that too.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Looking at like
attached to what Don was saying, man, I find it kind of strange, and it seems very a part of an agenda for them to remove something that is used to quell. So to start up, if you look at like COVID situations, if you look at who made money off of the stimulus bill, if you track just a lot of the paperwork, a lot of the shit that Gates or their foundation's doing, it's just a lot of weird shit that's going on there. I think voting and shit is important, but this shit that we're talking about, removing ourselves from the NPC, like Drums was saying, that's the real shit, because we no longer have to fight to be on nobody's to win a Grammy or an Emmy, because we have our own shit. We don't have to worry about placating to anyone.
Right. Hell yeah. Let me I just wanted to interject some shit. If I know everybody's not super familiar with the Bible, but everybody knows about the Tower of Babylon, right? Tower got too tall, people was too smart, they had to knock that motherfucker over because it got too close to gods.
Yeah.
Right? That's paraphrasing. Sorry, Mom, if you're listening. No, I'm cussing and talking about the Bible at the same time. Thinking about that, right? If you look at things that have been destroyed or attacked, there's a lot of information in that, right? So I'm attacking media. Why? Because media is powerful. If you look at the narrative in Black music and our culture's music, over time you see this real strong influence of positivity, love, and community that's happened in the late 80s, early 90s, and then they fuck all that shit up over the course of 10, 15, 20 years, and now we're here. Why did they attack that? Because it was powerful. Why did they attack TV? Because it was powerful. Why did they delete all these shows, 227s, Amens, Living Single, all that shit, and replace it with shit was powerful? So the blueprint is there. If you looked at the shit they burnt down, why they burned down Black Wall Street? Shit was powerful. Why did they attack the Black Panthers? Because it was powerful. You feel what I'm saying? Why did they corrupt gangs and make them something they weren't? Because they were powerful. You feel me? Black communities were powerful. You had Reaganomics and crack. You feel what I'm saying? So if you take these clues, this context information about how the other side's playing the game, and you look at what they have to sabotage, and you take those clues and put them together, it's not necessarily a complete blueprint, but a pretty good skeleton map, if you will. You can see like some of the things we should probably get into trying to recreate. I say that to say, they're showing you what your superpowers are because they keep taking shots at them. So we can take them shits and use them for good. So we can create our own media. We can create our own music, create our own content, create our own sources of content. In doing so, we create our own narrative, which then empowers us as a community, which gets back to us having our shit together. And then allies have to really be allies. You can't be Nike and just do it. Black Lives Matter. And everybody be like, that's cool, but you still fuck with prison labor and got people over there making shoes at 13 cents an hour over in Indonesia or whatever the fuck. You know what I mean? You can't get away with that shit if we're using our superpowers for us. Hence us being here. Hence Controller Oz. Hence Stolen Drums. To be honest with you, the only reason people know me is because I stopped using my superpowers for other people and started using for myself. And the only reason people know us is because we did the same shit. That's the only reason we in this room and got people looking at us on the live stream and all of that shit is because we took our little superpowers that we had and used them for our community. I think we continue to do the same thing. This has been a fucking phenomenal conversation. I feel like we need to do this more often. Maybe we find a way to bi-weekly have a conversation like this with actionable items, actionable plans, links, etc. to go with it. In the short term, will be for everybody that's listening online and watching. I've seen some people. Shout out to everybody in the comments, by the way. Shout out to Herb, Justin, the homie Matt, Mari Taylor, Missy, Trevor Marks is in here, Chris Smith, Deontay Johnson, Tiffany Henderson, Cameron Hall. The list goes on and on. There's Funk, what up, Funk? Creative in here. Trey in both places at the same time. A Ninja, my homie Swisden. A whole bunch of people in here. But yeah, I want to, because I feel like everybody's pretty much said what they needed to say and got shit off of their chest. And I think this is a good place to kind of take it home. But yeah, actionable items. Number one, look for that Discord link. We'll be putting it over all social media, putting in an email. On the text message list for folks that are on the text message list, we'll be sending that out. Make sure you hop in that Discord. The end game, the function of said Discord right now anyway, and this may change, is to do our homework, find information, and disseminate said information. So this is where you'll find out what businesses we do and do not fuck with and why. This is where you'll find out what partners have made statements and haven't. This is where you'll find, agenda moving forward for certain things. Probably not everything, because you can't just tell everybody everything. But for certain things, we'll put, this is happening next, et cetera, et cetera. But that'd be the place for that. So look for that Discord.
Should definitely, anyone that has local information on politicians and.
Oh yeah. So anybody has information on local politics, local agency, other organizations, things we should just be conscious about, even fucking people to follow for whatever reason, please share. That Discord would be another place for that, for sure. And this was amazing. Y'all shit, as always. I love y'all. I love everybody, tuned into the live feed, paying attention.
That's even having this, like, having the ability to come together and do this. Like, this is such an amazing thing that we have going on here.
No, it's so important. So important, man. So important. And that's a great, I like that. We're going to do that. I think that needs to happen. But yeah, on that note, 3 things. Y'all know the 3 things. Life is good. Time is precious. Make somebody smile because that shit is tight. Drink water, eat fruit. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Watch your diet, content, food, energy. Watch where you spend them. Watch what you take in. Fuck 12.
Fuck 12. I was about to say that. Fuck 12. Thank you,
Fuck
sir.
12.
Fuck 12.
Fuck the police.
Bless y'all.
Yes. Fuck the police.
Educate and elevate, yo.
Educate
Love
and elevate.
everybody. Love, yo.
Love, man. Love.
Love is love. Everything is everything. Birth to the earth, womb to the tomb. Let's go.
All of that. All of that. All right, y'all, in a minute. Big bless. Peace.
Peace.
This shit was fucking tight. We gotta do it again soon.